Welcome back to Tokyo Ghoul Anime Review, episode number 18. This one reviewing the 18th episode of the anime Face Effulgence. I think it's it. This episode is adapted from chapter 100, pages 10 through 10 of 103, 105, 9 through 19 of 106, 1 through 4 of 107, pages 6 to 18 of chapter 108, pages 1 through 9 and 519 of chapter 109, the first 14 pages of chapter 110, pages 12 to 18 of 111, 112, the first 5 pages of chapter 114, pages 17 to 18 of chapter 117, and the first 8 pages of chapter 118. Wow, that's a lot. That consists of from release from 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Yeah, 13 different chapters. What's the plot for this one? It's simply put what the CGC were up to while the whole Black Goat stuff was going, while the Black Coat was forming. That's simply put what this episode is, what the CGC were up to. Yeah, and what happened in last week's episode where they had one of the buildings getting attacked. Yeah, in the last episode, where one of their branches was attacked by the clowns. Yeah, the clowns are actually make a comeback in this episode, and they do something quite weird. They basically sort of manipulate humans to do the dirty work by sewing their mouth shut and putting a clown mask on them. So the CGC has basically inadvertently killed humans. And of course, the Quincy Squad, well, 2 out of the 3 remaining ones, because, well, one of them got killed off at the end of the first season of the show. Yeah, that was the one with the shark teeth. Yeah. Yuri basically gets a chance to get some good character development, and he gets a chance to fight a ghoul that his father captured when he was younger. Get a chance to fight him, and then, of course, he starts going berserk when Psycho shows up. That's really her name. That's all her name is pronounced. I'm going to call her Psycho. That's what they call her in the dub. So I'm calling this one. I think it's not spelled Psycho, but it's pronounced Psycho. She shows up and fights him for a good majority of the episode, and then, like, at the end of the episode, while all that's going on, we have various other wards getting attacked by the clowns, and they're pretty much able to contain them, mostly no problem. And we have Shuzo, yeah, he's in the episode, and he takes down some of them. He takes a ghoul known as the face, the one with no face. Yeah, that's what they call him, or at least the faceless, a guy who wears a mask with no face on it. And somehow he casts illusion to make him look like the guy's like mentor. And of course, Missouri, she gets a chance to do some stuff, not much. Most of the episode, she's in bed, and well, of course, the episode starts off with her basically after she had killed the ghoul who briefly took her captive during the destruction of the Aljuri tree, and she thought she was seeing Haas, aka Kanakaneki. Turns out it was actually Yuri. Yep, and then she spent the majority of the episode in bed, and then the new director shows up, yeah, because the previous director had been killed off because they found that he was a ghoul. So he got replaced, and this guy, apparently his new goal, and it reveals at the end of the episode, his new goal is the eradication of all ghouls in the entire city of Tokyo. And he does this while introducing a new Quincy Squad. Okay, then what about the previous Quincy Squad? Are you disbanding them? I know one of the members got transferred to this new Quincy Squad. But what about Psycho and Yuri? What are they going to do? Of course, Yuri's got new eye patches. She usually have the cloth on. It was like a regular black eye patch she's wearing now. And to show their commitment, they have this new Quincy Squad with these Queen Ks look a lot like Shansui's Queen K for some reason. And what do they do with them? They line up a group of people who are wearing clown masks, and they decapitate him right in front of the investigators. What the heck is this? It seems like some dumb thing to do. I mean, like, decapitating what looks like about 12 people. I don't know if these were actual ghouls, or they were, like, humans that were manipulated to being, well, wearing these stupid masks. Yeah, completely unknown. It's a particularly odd ending. But next week's episode is going to be a lot more interesting because they're going to wrap up the stuff with Akira and Armand. Yeah, that's going to wrap up next week. And it looks like next week's episode looks like that Missouri is going to get some action. And And this is something I've been looking forward to. We're possibly going to see in this series of Kaneki and Toka having sex. Yep, they're going to go that far. Yeah, that's what it looks like for next week's episode. I'm not sure how far the thing will go because of how the way the series is going. Yeah, you're probably thinking, oh, man, they got this far pretty quickly, just 18 episodes. On a normal series, they would get to this particular point much later in time. But, well, as for the pacing of this episode, it's not that bad. Pacing's improving, which my guess is Studio Parrot must be getting tired of complaints of the pacing problems that at least 2 of the episodes of receiving this half of this particular season of this particular series. Yeah, they're probably tired of all the complaints, so they probably told the animation team, fix your damn pacing. We're getting complaints that the pacing is terrible. So for 2 episodes in a row now, we have pacing that's actually pretty good. And the pacing is actually a lot better than it has been. And the way that the style of stuff was going like last episode and this one, it kind of felt like the style of storytelling you would see both in the original Tokyo Ghoul and in Route A. Similar storytelling. Yeah, this one definitely like the original Tokyo Ghoul, definitely. But despite the bits and pieces of stuff in different chapters, it did feel like that the thing was progressing forward, which I appreciate that. Though I was a little surprised they basically adapted a page, I think it was chapter 9, that for some reason that was not adapted to the series. Oh heck, there are certain chapters, when you watch this particular series, there are certain things from the manga that just never made the screen because they cut it for some reason. Other series I've watched generally do keep pretty much everything and they do make alterations. This series has had a humongous reputation for cutting stuff out or not adapting full chapters. They just take bits, pieces here and there, and just try to progress forward. Oh, I forgot to mention, last week's episode, they didn't exactly show exactly what happened next. They showed like briefly in a flashback, which they have back like between like chapters like 84 and 90. Yeah, this one looks like they're pretty. It's like that some animators probably knew about the chapter where Toka and Kaneki have sex, and they just really want to get there, and they got there with this particular season at least by episode 9. Yeah, they really wanted to go there. So they rushed through about 50 chapters just to get there. At least about 60. Yeah, it's something also that chapter 59 is still by far the only chapter never adapted. Yeah, no idea why. They just skipped over it. As a matter of fact, a lot of stuff they cut out for this particular series, that could easily make up another, like, a good, like, 2 or 3 seasons at most of how much stuff they cut out from the manga. Yeah, it could make up a good at least, like, I don't know, about 3 or 4 seasons at most because they cut out a lot of stuff and they don't even adapt full chapters. Yeah, they probably, if they would do, if Studio Pair would do that, they probably would just, I don't know, just do it as like a flashback series. Just filling in the gaps, just basically putting stuff in that weren't there before, just expand upon stuff that was shown in this series. That's my personal guess. They probably call it Tokyo Ghoul Memories, where they just basically they probably adapted from stuff they skipped over. Attack on Titan basically is done a few times, but yeah. I don't know why for this particular series they have to do this for the particular, where they just don't, sometimes they don't have full chapters at all. They have like 2 or 3 pages. A few of them they actually do have full pages, full chapters. Some they have half the chapter. Yeah. But this overall was a pretty good episode. I like the pacing for it. I think the ending just comes completely out of nowhere. There's barely any build to it at all. At least in the case of last week's episode, they at least kind of build toward the ending, though about halfway through it. This one felt like came completely out of nowhere. Yeah, that's just my opinion on the matter, okay? So that's it for this particular review. There's exactly 2 more reviews I'm planning for today. One is a review of the 2nd season of Rosario plus Vampire, and the newest chapter of the 7 Deadly Sins manga. Until I see you next review, bye.